Hello, Rupa here from Crafters Corner. I'm back with another video tutorial. Today I'm going to show you a technique which is very close to me, which I'm very fond of and which you probably would be seeing in most of my wood projects, and that is nothing but distressing. By distressing, we're going to age the wooden project that we're going to do today. Age it by using the distressing technique of wax and Vaseline and paint layering, and of course using the scrapping tool from PLAID. You can also give the look of the paint chip method, which is what we do when we layer paints. We show, as we distress, we show the layer beneath. So the chipped paint or the distressed looked, aged, weathered, all these are terms which I would be using in this video and which are very close and dear to me, because no wooden project is complete without distressing, at least for me. So let's start with that. So the tools that you would need for this would be the scraping tool from PLAID. This comes in 4 sizes, ideal with a nice plastic handle for you to hold it and work. So right from a small box to your furniture at home, this size, you can choose the size that you want. As you will see how I demonstrate this tool today, you will know how easy it would be to distress. I think you probably would not use the sandpaper once you start using this. So believe me, the kind of distressing that this tool would give you is totally different from what the sandpaper can do. Of course, the sandpaper is required for smoothing the project. For scraping, we would be using this tool. So let's get started. I'm going to alter the an MDF tissue box here today. So the look, so you can see the before look now, and the after look is going to be something totally different, like a chipped paint and a very antique piece. So as always, I'm going to be using chalk paints today, and the paints I'm going to be using 3 tones. So there's going to be the base tone, which is the yellow crochet, and the mid tone, which is going to be lilac, and the top coat, which is going to be patina. So these are the 3 shades that I'm going to be using, and in combination with, lastly, maybe a bit of sheepskin. I don't know, that is there on my table always. So firstly, what I'm going to do is remove the base and then start giving a coat of the base coat, which is in this case yellow crochet. I know the 3 together looks weird right now. Let's see how it turns out. This is MDF and we're using chalk paint, so there is no need to gesso. Directly use the chalk paint onto the surface. So I'm taking yellow crochet and then giving a coat. I'm not using a sponge this time. This time I'm just using the brush. So let me finish a good coat, a single coat all over, and then I'll come back. So I'm done with the first coat of yellow crochet, and I'm drying the box. To take an old candle, wax is what we need right now. So I'm going to apply the wax on areas where it would naturally age, which is more around the edges. So I'm using the wax and candle and rubbing on the top, on this side, and the opposite to this, which is on this side. So that's the first layer where I've applied the wax. Okay, you invariably pick up some dust or the other. Okay, so don't bother about cleaning the wax as such. So you go about giving wherever you want the base color to be seen. That's where you apply the wax. So next comes the mid coat, which is lilac. I'm going to give the box a single coat of lilac. And be ready with your scrapping tool. I'm not going to wait for the paint to dry too much. As you know, chalk paints dry very fast. In my hand, so I start scraping ideally around where I've applied the wax also, and also around the body. So this is kind of scraping off the top layer just before it dries. So it gives a thin coat of the lilac. Yeah. And you can see the base through, which is yellow crochet. I love the weathered, beaten kind of look. Distressing is totally your call, how much you want it to look distressed or aged. For me, this is a good distressed look. There are two tones here. There's yellow crochet and there is lilac. So where you've applied wax, it obviously resists the color. It's easier to scrape off with this tool. So it's just a scrape like this, and then you peel. You can see that you can't see the MDF beneath. That's because we applied the wax. If you don't apply the wax and you start scraping, you go into the MDF layer and you start staining the wood. So now the layer is dry. So that's the first chippy layer. Yeah, I know these are both very light tones. So that's how it looks. I will move on to the third color, the top layer, before which I want to apply a bit of Vaseline. So you can take your regular Vaseline pot or the petroleum jelly and then start applying it again on areas that you want little distressing to happen. So I've just applied it in few spots. Don't rub it too much. And then I go to the next layer, which is patina. Why these three colors? You will see in the end. I have a secret visitor to this project. You will see that in the end. So there comes patina. Same, just like we applied the mid coat. Apply a layer of patina. Don't bother about the Vaseline shifting from its place. It really doesn't matter. A nice coat. And for this layer, which is the top coat, I'm going to wait for it to dry completely. Unlike the mid coat, which I started scraping immediately, for this one I'm going to wait for it to dry. So I've applied patina. I'm going to use the heat tool. That is obviously not going to dry. It will peel off as you scrape. So the other portion is touch dry. I'm going to take my scraping tool and be ready with your paper, and you just start scraping. So you can see where the Vaseline is there. Don't feel shy to scrape. We are trying to give a chipped paint kind of look, the weathered look. Many of you may not agree with this style of distressing. We're going to make this MDF box look much old beyond its age, from its original age. So you can keep scraping till you feel no paint is going to come through. So at this point, you can see the yellow crochet and the lilac. So when you go about choosing your base tone, mid tone and the top tone, you need to decide which is the color that you want to see maximum in this project, and likewise choose. So the base coat obviously is going to be seen minimum, the mid coat to an extent, and of course more of the top coat. So that is why I have chosen them in this order. So I'm going to keep scraping till I feel no more paint is going to scrape. Believe me, as you scrape and remove layers and layers, when you touch and feel the project, it just doesn't look loaded at all. It doesn't look like layers of paint. It's totally a smooth feel. A very thin layer of paint is what is on the wood, because you're totally scraping it off. The more I scrape, you will see that you still don't go hit the MDF portion. That's the beauty here. If you have always been sanding, now is the time to grab this tool. So as you scrape, you are smoothening the paint too. I love this chippy paint kind of look. See, it automatically ages the wood. Yes, we've still not reached to the browns. So this is this side. I'm going to repeat the same process on the other side. And I'll come back and do some dry brushing on the top to show you that part of distressing too. Okay, so I'm back. I have done the distressing on both these sides. The other two sides, I have just kept it plain. Like I said, there's going to be a secret surprise visitor, rather, not a secret visitor. It's going to be a surprise visitor on those two sides. I wish I'll tell you soon who that is. Okay, so this is plain as of now. The distressing has happened. No two sides will look the same. It's basically how you've applied the Vaseline and how you've distressed. I don't know how many of you would like this kind of a distressed look, but it's totally my style. So that's the chipped paint come the distressed kind of look. And then we're going to have some little bit of shabby stenciling also, which is going to come on this part. Right now, let's do what comes on the top. As you saw before, I had just applied the candle wax on this side. Now what I'm going to do is take a brush and do some dry brushing of the same colors. So your mid-tone here was lilac. I'm going to go with the same thing. Take a brush and then do some dry brushing of lilac, some horizontal and some vertical strokes. I can still scrape the edges because I had applied the wax. You will get to see the yellow crochet. Like I said, it's totally your call how much you want to scrape. I'm doing a dry brushing yet scraping it. So as I'm scraping, you can see that the paint, very little paint gets into the creases here, and what is left is almost nothing. You have to see and touch to believe the layer of paint that is here. So that's all the paint that is peeled. So you can see the thin coat. Now I'm going to come to the patina, which also I'm going to do a dry brushing, loading the bristles with paint and then dry strokes again. Horizontal, vertical. This is smooth MDF. I had a tutorial a few weeks back on how to do dry brushing on a textured MDF to give the faux palette kind of look, but that's not what we're doing here. This is basically just dry brushing to reveal a distressed finish. So that's your 3 layers that have come. I'm taking the scraping tool again. Yellow crochet is still seen through. So this technique, like I said, gives a very aged look, a washed, weathered, beaten kind of look to the wooden project. Just so safe to use the scraping tool. So you really don't feel that you've used 3 layers of paint on this to achieve this look. Trust me, you have to really touch it to believe it. It's a one thin, fine coat that you will see when you touch it, but there are actually 3 layers to this paint. That's the beauty of the scraping tool. The paint is there yet not there. That's the kind of look that we achieve when you start scraping, applying and scraping with this tool. And of course it's going to dry in a jiffy because the layer of paint that is there is just bare minimum. So this is the basic distressed look, and you can see this is the undistressed part. What I am going to do to this is, what I want around the edges here is a bit of the lilac and the patina. So I'm going to take a sponge now, and what I would do is, normally how you do with your regular inks, or so I'm just doing a dab of this. Ensure that your surface is clean. You don't want to pick up a surprise layer of paint. Next, what I'm going to do is take a bit of patina, because that's the final thing that's going to be seen. So your basic wooden project is ready and distressed now. So in this case, you can see that the box has picked up some paint also. So you can use the sanding block. This is also again from PLAID. So this is going to remove any surprise layer of paint or something that your box has picked up accidentally. So that's a nice smooth scrape. Like I said, you have to feel it to believe it. So I'm scraping this side too with the sanding block. This is just to clear off any excess or any wax that is sitting. Okay, so that's ready. Now let me see what can be done here. I'm going to do some stenciling here. So I have and there's patina here. Yes, so okay, and be ready with your stencil. I'm dabbing the paint in patina and in sheepskin. Removing the excess. Okay, and then what you do is go about in circular motions. So this is again, what this is going to do is, it's going to do it in a very distressed fashion, the stenciling. So there's going to be a high spot and there's going to be a low spot too. After all, we are trying to age the wood. We're not looking for a clean, crisp stenciling here. It's so easy. Just do circular motion and ta-da, it's ready. Look at that. Just look at that pattern. I don't know if the camera is able to capture it, but this is totally distressed now with the kind of stenciling also which has come on top. Yeah. So it gives you stenciling as well as the peeled paint and the distressed kind of look. Just to ensure that I don't mess up things, I'm going to dry this a bit and do it on the other side. So let me finish this project and then come back some final touches, and I will show you who the surprise visitor is also. Okay, so I'm back. I did what I needed to do behind the camera. That was basically decoupaging this lovely paper to complement the work that's done on the sides. Yeah, I know it's a little bit bright here, but it will be toned down. Just wanted to tell you briefly about the paper. This is the lovely paper pack from Dress My Craft, our own very Indian brand from Crafters Corner. There are 12 designs, 24 pages, 2 designs, 2 pages of each design, and the lovely hydrangea lawns. Beautiful papers. Before I tell you more on this paper pack, I want to do one last technique, and as that is drying, I will tell you about the paper pack. So for that, I have given a coat of satin varnish, and I allowed it to dry once Mod Podging and sealing the decoupaged side. I gave one full coat of varnish, which is the satin varnish, and this is dry. You can see that little bit of gloss now after the varnish. Now I'm going to show you another hack for a antique glaze. let's say you don't have a cream antique wax or a dark wax, there is a small hack which you can do to tone down or weather down the brighter tones like this and then age it further. In spite of all the distressing, my soul still wants that little bit of brown, so I have a bit of varnish. I have poured some satin varnish down, and I'm going to add a bit of brown paint. There's no big ratio here, just adding a bit of brown multi-surface paint here, bark brown. I'm going to mix it now. So this is your hack for a dark wax. Okay, since the project is already given one coat of varnish, what I'm going to do is now give a coat with a little bit of brown. This is like a glaze. So what I'm going to do is just give a coat on top of the varnished area, and then take a clean cloth, soft cloth, and then you can, before it dries, you can just rub it a bit. Not fully though, a little bit, so you still have that little shade of brown coming through, which kind of ages the project even more. I'm going to do that to the, yes, to the bright flowers too. That looks good, doesn't it, with that little bit of brown? Okay, so that's the hack here. So if you don't have a dark wax, no fret, you can just take a bit of varnish and add your brown paint to it. That acts as an antique glaze here. So just like the varnish dries, this is also going to dry a bit brown. Okay, so let this dry. Meanwhile, I will show you the lovely paper pack. There's one more portion, the base too. Let me give that a coat. This is what slides into the tissue box. Let me dry this and show you the paper pack. This is the lovely paper pack from Dress My Craft. It's the hydrangea lawns. And it's a 12 by 12 collection pack. It's got 24 papers, 12 designs, 2 each of the design, and all in lovely tones of blues, teals, lavender, lilac, white, call them what. Beautiful florals here. Great for decoupage work, your scrapbooking, you name it. So, which is why I chose those 3 colors. This is my secret visitor to this project. Look at these blooms, absolutely gorgeous. And let me show you the page that I have used. This is the one that I have used, and I have tried to replicate the kind of distressed look in this with the stenciling here. There was one page here. Yeah, that's the one. Let me see where that is. I kind of liked it, so which is why the 3 shades, and the stenciling is also similar to what is in the page now. Yeah, so you can see the kind of citrus green popping out in these pages, which is why I've used the yellow crochet. And of course, to match it, I used the lilac, and the teal portion was the patina color. So that's the 3 colors which I used along with this paper pack. So yes, this paper can be used for decoupage like I have used in this project. Beautiful collection from Crafter's Corner, and easy on the pocket too. So this is also in your list along with the scrapping tool and the stencil brush. Give this project a try, the total distressed look with the chipped paint look, and of course the aging with the antique glaze that I just showed you. So you can see how antique this project has become now. I'm going to have some pictures at the end There are some more tissue boxes that I have done in different color tones, all using chalk paints. You can see them at the end. I've used a different paper line for those. Same concept of using the wax and the Vaseline. So enjoy the pictures at the end. Give me a thumbs up if you like my video, and I'll be back soon with another video tutorial. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.